Welcome back to Waxing On. It's Wednesday. I know we've missed a couple of episodes. If you've been watching regularly, you know we didn't get an episode out on Friday last week or Monday this week. I had a little issue in the city with my daughter's apartment flooded, so my wife and family, we've been in there trying to clean that up. So we had to kind of postpone a couple of taping sessions. But we're back today. And today's Wednesday, and that means classic rock. So today we're going to look at a fellow who's been around since the late 60s, and I'll tell you, he's still going strong. One of my favorites, a lot of folk influence, some popular music, but certainly a style all his own. And who I'm talking about is James Taylor. Now, I first became aware of James Taylor, of course, with Fire and Rain. I made a big breakout hit for him off his album, Sweet Baby James. And that was the first I really kind of got into what he was doing. I went back and found it was a previous album, and I picked it up. It's called James Taylor. Get that without the glare. And recorded in England, 1968. And this one was recorded on the Beatles' new label, Apple Records. See the Granny Smith on that side. And of course, side 2 was always the cut open Apple. Now, I'm not sure, I don't believe even Sweet Baby James was on Apple. I think this might have been the only Apple record he had released. And again, it was prior to him really breaking big. Now, the album has some other players on a few of the songs. Some of them is just James Taylor and his guitar. And there is some orchestra work as well, kind of filling in some of the songs. Producer of the album, a guy named Peter Asher. Now, some of you may recognize that name. Peter was part of the group Peter and Gordon back in the 60s. They had a big hit with World Without Love, probably mid-60s. He was also producer not only of James Taylor's albums, but he produced a lot of the albums for Linda Ronstadt. So he really, while he was a musician and a singer, made a real name for himself as a producer. Now, some of these songs, they're not unfamiliar. I've heard him play them when he does concerts. Certainly he goes back in the book to find some tunes. Some of you may be familiar with them. I just don't think they got a lot of airplay back in the day when they came out. I picked this album up August 71, so that's probably about the same time I was aware of Sweet Baby James and went back to look out for what else James Taylor had done. Just to give you some idea of what we got on here, we've got, I won't read all the songs off, we've got Knocking Around the Zoo, Sunshine, Sunshine, Taking It In, Something in the Way She Moves, and Bob Dylan did one that kind of sounded the same. This kind of sounds like George Harrison's Something, whole different tune, and a special one, this one just James Taylor and his guitar. Now, when I mentioned about orchestra work, there's also some other things in here that I really didn't care for on this album. When I'm looking at song number 1, Don't Talk Now, and it leads into another song called Something's Wrong, they've added some links. Now, some of these are played by string quartets, some of them played by James Taylor. I just didn't get the idea of why we needed links between the tunes. Maybe that's just me, but I found it kind of took away from what I was getting out of the album. Okay, other side, a big hit for James Taylor, Carolina in My Mind. I know he plays that one an awful lot. Brighten Your Night with My Day, Night Owl, Rainy Day Man, another big tune. Circle Around the Sun, probably one of the only ones on here he didn't write a traditional song, although it'd be arranged by him, and Blues Is Just a Bad Dream. Lots of good music on there, and followed that up with Sweet Baby James. I mean, there's some classic hits on that as well. That one I had on tape, so I don't have a hard copy to show you. I do have it on my iPod. Yes, I'm still using an iPod. I have it on my telephone. I do often buy digital downloads. I realize everybody's into streaming networks now. I really haven't subscribed to a streaming network. If I find something I like, I tend to try and support the artist and buy their song or their music or the album. So I have used downloads more so than streaming. But certainly Sweet Baby James was one of my favorites. Now I had a few years in between where I didn't pick up a lot, but a lot were on tape again. JT, Mudslide Slim. What was the other one I just mentioned to you a minute ago? No, it wasn't that one. Well, there's another one in there I have. One with Liberty Valance on it. The name escapes me right at the moment. And the other one I have is another vinyl copy.
That's why I'm here.
Oh, that's the album. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much. Production assistants out there have all that information for me when I need it. Okay, Flag. And this came out in the 80s. Few tunes on here, big hits. We've got Up on the Roof, that classic tune, and James Taylor does an excellent reading on that one. Rainy Day Man was another big one off here, Brother Trucker. We've got Company Man, another great one, I Will Not Lie for You. Mill Worker, and Is That the Way You Look? Lots of great tunes, and done in that same James Taylor style. This time he's got a regular band with him, though. And I'll just give you some idea. This one was a kind of an opening gatefold, and you see here we've got James still got hair, so you know we're back quite a few years ago. Over on the other side, we got some pictures of the band. Peter Osher, there, our producer we've talked about. And one of my favorites, down below, we got Lee Sklar playing bass. Now, I'd seen a tape, it was on PBS, Carole King, James Taylor at the Troubadour. Lee still playing with them on that gig, and that was really great. I had actually gone to see, this is kind of not James Taylor's story, it's a Lee Sklar story, gone to see Lyle Lovett one time in concert, and who was playing bass for them but Lee Sklar. And while I enjoyed Lyle Lovett, I mean, I really love his stuff, I've gone to a lot of concerts, I found, for me, my attention wasn't so much on the, Lyle Lovett, it's watching Lee play. This is the first chance I had to see him. I mean, a great studio musician. That can you imagine him being almost in my hometown here now that we get a chance to see him play live, and it was a real treat. Anyways, the other thing, just getting back to the James Taylor side, Lee has a YouTube channel. Some of you may already be aware of it, and on that he talks about different albums he's played on, gives you a little backstory on it, as well as he often plays along with some of the albums. Now I know he had some problem with the James Taylor links. He had a hard time getting them up there. Whatever was going on, they might be there now. If they are, they're worth taking a look at, just to get a little background on some of these recordings and, a little more insight into what went on with them. Certainly, James still recording, still touring. I just seen a note on my email this week. Tickets on sale for a concert in Western Ontario. I know he was up around the Ottawa area in Ontario here a year or so ago, maybe just before the pandemic. So he's still out there playing and performing. Well worth a chance if you get to see him, be amazing. Now, if you just want to listen, certainly the streaming networks have a lot of his material. You can still get hard copies, certainly. Digital downloads, absolutely. Streaming networks, if you want to check out, I'll tell you, I sometimes use them if I want to check out an album to find out which ones would I really enjoy. And I sometimes use them as a way to explore the album to decide which ones I want to buy. So that's just an option as well. Anyways, a lot of it out there. And I'll tell you, there's no better way on a weekend or one of these rainy afternoons like we're having now than a little James Taylor to help get your mindset right. So if you get a chance, check it out. The two albums ahead today, James Taylor, debut album on Apple Records, and look into the 80s with James Taylor and his band, Flag. Okay. That's it for today. I just want to thank everybody for stopping by. I apologize again for a break in our schedule last week, but I think we're back on track. And we look forward to seeing you on Friday. Everybody take care.